Hello again everyone, Mary Rose here at Stitch Bliss Corner, and it's July the 8th, 2022. Now, I don't quite know what's happening with my lighting today. I feel as though, everything, I look a bit skew-whiff, but anyway, not to worry, we'll just plough on. Last weekend we were at my daughter's house. We were house sitting, really looking after the dog. And he managed to look after us very well. So I took my stitching out there, but I found that I couldn't get into the groove quite as much as I do when I'm at home. I suppose that does happen, probably stitchers take all these pieces on their holidays and with all good intentions, and they either don't even look at it, or if they do stitch it, they have to come back and frog it all out because they've, made some fundamental error. Because it's very easy to do that with stitching, isn't it? Anyway, so they just got away for a couple of days over the weekends, which is very nice for them. And it was nice to have a change and be at her house because she's not very far from the lake, so there's very nice views and it's very relaxing out there. Anyway, now today with this video, it's quite a mixed bag, I must say, and I'll probably dart about a fair bit. But the main reason for it is to show Kerry, that's Kitty, K-I-T-T-Y, Kitty Stitcher in the UK, the meaning behind the piece that I sent to her. And I did write, quite a bit about it for her in a card, but I thought, well, it's nice to put a little video in there. Now, before I do that, I thought I would just show you the inspiration that I used for Kerry's piece. And should I do that, or should I do it the other way around? Maybe I'll show you Kerry's piece first. So I think we'll go to that now. Here is the stitching that I did for Kerry, and I took my inspiration from Dragons of Sumatra by Tracy Horner. I'm trying to keep the iPad steady, but I think it's a bit of a losing battle here, but and one of the things that I wanted to include in the piece was Kerry's love of stitching and her mother's love of stitching as well. And I also wanted to have a representative of 4 legs for the cats, and there are 4 legs that you can see because Kerry's a great fan of cats. She loves cats, so I thought it'd be nice to just have a little bit of a reference to them there, because my thoughts when I was stitching for Kerry was that I should stitch some cats and some flowers and then I thought, well, maybe I can just stretch a bit of lateral thinking and do something a little bit different for her. So the top dragon is the fuchsia dragon, because Kerry said that one of her mother's favourite flowers is the fuchsia. So that's the fuchsia dragon at the top, and the lower dragon is the freesia dragon, because Kerry said she likes freesias, amongst other flowers, of course. They both love their garden. So I had fuchsia dragon overlooking flowers that Kerry, colours I thought Kerry would like. Those are the ones to the right. And to the left, Kerry's dragon, the freesia dragon, is overlooking flowers that her mother likes, or colours that her mother likes. And as you can see, the piece does coordinate with the colours, because naturally enough they harmonise with each other, just as Kerry harmonises with her mother. They have a wonderful relationship, and Kerry's mother is a fabulous stitcher as well, so that their stitching does bring them closer. So I hope you like this piece, Kerry, and I shall probably talk a little bit more about it face to camera, but I just thought I would do this little video, just to explain a few things. Now, let me just see what I've written here, because I did write out for Kerry. Oh yes, now the inspiration was for that piece was Dragons of Sumatra, as I think I probably mentioned, and Dragons of Sumatra by Tracy Horner ink circles is this one. It's really quite a remarkable piece. Now when I show you mine, you will see that down here I didn't really know what they were. So, and it messed with my head a bit. So I just put different, well, you'll see what I mean in a minute. I just did something different there. And also, I wanted to see if I could put a piece together that included all the colours of the rainbow and see if I could make it work. So anyway, without any further ado, I shall show you the video that I did when I completed Dragons of Sumatra. So we can go to that now. And here is Dragons of Sumatra back from the framers. I wanted a Sumatran feel about the actual frame, and it's got a little hint of red in it. It's quite dark, the wood there, but it's got a bit of red. So I'm just going to slowly go across there just for a final look. I'll be holding it up anyway, but I just thought that you might like to see it like this. Dragons of Sumatra, FFO'd. Yeah, so that was a very enjoyable piece of work. It was it was a bit like colouring in, and you get a book with all the outlines in it of something, and you can sit there and colour in. And I found that, surprisingly, because I thought I'd have to pull out bits and everything, I really thought it was going to end up looking really quite disconnected sort of thing. But it didn't do that at all. It seemed to just materialise in front of me. I mean, I still look at it and I can't believe I did it. And I've got it here. Well, I shouldn't be quite so immodest about it, but it is one of those things where, and I'm sure a lot of people have that, where they've stitched something that they've sort of put some input into it, and then later on, if it does work, they stand there and think, well, that wasn't me. And maybe it wasn't me, maybe it was a higher being working through me. I mean, who knows? Who knows what goes on? But anyway, so I thought I'd just, I took my dragons down off the wall just to hold it up in front of the camera. And then I thought I could just show you that little piece down the bottom I was talking about. I just used this image. Oh, sorry, not this image. Where am I? Oh, just down here. It's in the wrong corner. Yes, it's different on camera. These here, I just repeated the, but I went upside down. I just took it and made them upside down. And see that rainbow dragon there? I mean, all the colours in him there. And then there's that one little piece there. Because of course the rainbow has been a symbol of Christianity as well for centuries after the story about Noah. And that the rainbow makes a perfect circle if it's 380, 360 is it? It's my maths again letting me down. But whatever makes the full circle, the rainbow will go around like that. And yeah, there's the part there that I just changed. You know, apologies to Tracy, but it's just the way it worked. Was there anything else? Oh, I put the silver banding there as well. Just here. I just couched that on there because I thought it just needed something. So I did that. Yeah, so the designers, they certainly inspire you, don't they? Let me see what I've got here. Yeah, that was 18 count black Ada. But I was very happy that Kerry liked her piece. It's always a bit daunting when you're going to stitch something for someone because tastes in stitching are so different, aren't they? I mean, and I know with her piece, as I said in the video, I was wanting to put in her favourite colours, and there was one flower that I did that was predominantly yellow because she likes yellow, but it just took over the whole thing. So that I did have to frog out, I must say. Now, what do I have here? So there was one little part, where is it? Just down there, where I put the yellow in for Kerry. That was the only place I could fit it in. So, yeah, so that's just the picture that I took. And Harlequin has been wonderful. He knows the trouble I have when I hold my iPad up, so he gave me this little holder so I can use that. You know, he does really try to troubleshoot for me as far as he possibly can with the imperfect goods that he's got to work with. So I think he did a great job there, which brings me to this person here, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who my American people would know all about. He was a, what does it say here? An American essayist, lecturer, philosopher. And he was a minister himself for a while, but he found that the rules of the church were a little bit too much for him and for his philosophies. So he did leave the church and went lecturing and everything. But the reason I brought him up was because of these words that I'm going to read out to you. It must be for somebody, so whoever you are, pay attention. Here it is. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day who allows it to be invaded with fret and anxiety. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be cumbered with your old nonsense. This new day is too dear, with all its hopes and invitations, to waste a moment on the yesterdays. And I thought, that is a cracking thing to keep in your mind. Because I think as women in particular, if we're allowed to say that we're women anymore, I'm beginning to wonder about that. As women in particular, we do tend to give ourselves guilt trips about everything that happens. Somehow or other, it's our fault, you know, and that's just ridiculous. It takes a whole village to raise a child, or to whatever befalls us all. And it isn't down to one person, and particularly not the person that usually everything revolves around. When you're running a home, for example, you know, for some reason everything falls to pieces if the female is unwell for a couple of days or whatever, and everybody's, you know, willing intensely that they get back on board as soon as possible. So it's only natural that as women, because we do so many things, we're so functioning, that some things are going to suffer. Some things you just cannot keep doing without you suffering, you know. So I think it is good to put it all behind you, you know, and not feel a certain way about things. You did your best. That's the point. Whatever happens, especially with family things, for example, and fallings out and all that sort of thing, people do, usually anyway, the best they can. And you can't do any better than that. You know, what your instinct is at the time, that's what it was. And that's all there is to it. You know, you can berate yourself uphill and downhill. It's not going to do any good. Not going to do any good at all. So, you know, it's a case of giving yourself a break, giving yourself the forgiveness that you would give for someone else, I suppose is what I'm saying. Most women, if someone comes and tells them something they've done or whatever, like, you know, they are all forgiveness for that person. Oh, well, you know, and they try to reassure the person or make them feel better about it. But then you need that back for you. You need to forgive yourself if something's bothering you that you wished you'd done a different way. I mean, that's life, isn't it? That's the big lessons of life, that you think back and you think, oh, you know, if only, if only, if only. That doesn't do you any good. Just listen to Waldo. He sounds like a very wise man to me. So I don't know where that came from, but I mean, it did come from him, you know, because I looked at the quote and it went on from there. But what I've just been talking about, It just came out of the ether, as it does with me at times. You know, that's the way it goes. So anyway, end of. Now I shall go on now to some stitching for you all, and that is, now wait till I put my little iPad down here, because I don't want anything to happen to that after all the trouble Harlequin took to put that little piece on the back for me. Now, I suppose I could give you an update now on Rise Above, and then I might do a few little hints and this and that, and address a few questions that I got in my comments. And if I've forgotten to answer anyone, please put the comment in again so I can answer next time. Because, you know, I think somebody on TV said that some people have memories like Swiss cheeses. You know, they're all right, but there are holes here and there. Well, I think that's what I'm developing. So anyway, here's the update on Rise Above. And of course, it's been just so much fun stitching this. Now, what I've done here for the background is single thread full cross, and this is on 18 count Ada, and now, but all the figures are in 2 threads, and the foreground is all in 2 threads. So the lighting's a bit weird today, but I think it's because, well, I don't know why it is. Why should I sit here trying to work it out? Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So anyway, that's where I'm up to, and very much having great delight in doing that. Now, I'll just have a look here at my... Now, oh yes, now, going on from the hints in dimensions that I was doing, if you cannot photocopy your chart, you can iPad or phone image it to save the backstitch and part, you know, because how they put the backstitch part on the chart now, on the stitching chart. Well, not now, they've done it for years. But it used to be that you would have a separate chart to show all the backstitching. But then somebody in their wisdom decided to put it over the top of the actual stitching chart. So sometimes it's hard to see the symbol underneath. But anyway, if you photocopy, if you can't photocopy your chart and you can use your iPad or your phone to take a picture in the first instance, well then you could use your original chart to mark off. And then you've got your original backstitch still there that you can have a look at. Well, that's just a thing I thought of. Now, I was asked how I keep my fabric back from my work when I'm, you know, do I roll it up, or if I'm working on a big piece. With this one that I'm doing, Rise Above, I am not using anything to hold back the fabric because I seem to be able to manage fine without it. But I usually use these little clips. I used to call them bulldog clips, but they're not really a bulldog clip, because a bulldog clip, it looked a little bit, well, it didn't look a little bit like a bulldog, but you could see where the idea came from. Anyway, and I used those to hold the fabric back. I just rolled it up and clipped them. So that's answers that question. What was the other one they had here? Oh, now, that's what I meant to say. If there are any ads on my videos, please feel free to fast forward through them without any trace of guilt or, you know, here we are, the guilt thing again. Because I've never monetized my channel. So if they're putting them on, it's not because I told them to. So feel quite free to fast forward. Okay, so what else have I got here? Now, I made the mistake of having a look at the Artisy stitching side, which is never a good idea. So anyway, this one popped up, and it's Mark Keithley, and I mean really, it's just, there's something about that image, I mean really and truly. But I did think that for the sake of time, I probably will get a dyed fabric for that. I don't think I'll stitch the background, because Rise Above has got, it's got the mountains, so you can sort of see, yeah, fair enough. But when it's clouds and things, I think I could probably find a dyed fabric or do something myself that will suffice for that. Yeah, so that's my thoughts. I won't be starting that for a little while. Now, the other thing that people have asked me about is how long I stitch. And I'm somebody, you know, in a day sort of thing. And I'm somebody that I tend to be never put off till tomorrow what you can do today. I mean, if you're feeling in a stitching mood and there really is nothing much to do that day, well, you may as well be stitching. But my late mother-in-law, she used to play golf, and she'd play it as often as she possibly could. She'd be out and about playing golf. And she said people asked her why she was always playing golf and wasn't doing other things. And she said, well, I want to play golf as long as I can. And then when I can't play golf anymore, then I'll be doing the things that, you know, don't require so much physical fitness. And I think she was pretty smart with that. And I'm a little bit like that as well. I need to be consistent to get the pictures done that I want. It relaxes me like nothing else does. So I usually come in here, the stitchy room, around 10 o'clock. And then I've got my TV there for DVDs if I want to watch those, but I'm usually on the internet having a look to see what's going on there, and like everyone else seems to be. And then I, go and make a cup of coffee and have my sandwich or whatever I'm having through the day, and so on until, the dreaded tea time comes when I have to force myself to go down to the kitchen. But that doesn't usually last long, and then we usually, have tea watching something, and usually at the moment it's Gunsmoke. We're halfway through the entire series of Gunsmoke, which really is quite an eye-opener when you see the accepted principles and standards of the times and how that was the norm. Yeah. So anyway, we watch that, and then after that we do the Wordle for the day. I don't know if anyone knows. Well, people would have heard of Wordle. It's 5 letters, and you think of a word and print it up on this little grid, and you put your guess in, and then it tells you with either a green or a yellow highlight if that's in the word that they want you to find, and you get so many goes to guess it. It's a bit like Hangman, but yeah, it's quite enjoyable. So we do one of those, the word of the day, and then we go to the internet and have a look and see some of our favourites, if they've put a video up or not. So, oh, it's very exciting around here. I can tell you, people line up to come into our house to see what we're up to. It's all so exciting. Anyway, so was there anything else I had to tell you? I suppose I could just show you how I put these are all my threads for Rise Above. I mean, you wouldn't use all these threads for the actual piece, but I put them all on there anyway because it's a lot easier to put them back. I put mine back on bobbins. Even if they've been cut, I just put them back on because that's just the way I do things. And you can see here I've numbered it 1, 2, 3, all my cards, and it's almost like a book. You know, you can just see where you're up to when you're looking for a thread. And I think when you do the same one until it's completed, you do get to know your colours a lot better than if you're doing a rotation. I think rotations are very good for people who they would lose their stitchy bug if they kept on working on the same piece. There's no doubt about that. That'd be no good. So, you know, you're better to work out some system that suits you. It's like I've had a few questions about my gridding, and I think once you start gridding, you do tend to work your own technique out that works best for you. So the way I do it, maybe it wouldn't suit anyone else. I mean, that's what I was going to talk about, was this sulky thread. I know there's sulky threads now, they're all different colours. But this is a sulky that is supposedly specially designed for gridding. It's almost like trying to stitch with fishing line. I mean, I tried it and it didn't suit me at all. But the good thing about the sulky thread is, well, the one I've got is black, sort of like plasticky thread. I did have it out here, but it seems to have gone missing with my grid pen. So I'm sorry about that. I might find it for next time. But anyway, yes, it curls around on itself. But the great thing about the sulky is that when it comes to pulling out the grids, it's very easy to pull them out. So it does have that saving grace, I must say. Anyway, I think that's all for now. I mean, I think I've prattled on quite long enough today. And my lighting is up the spout, so don't know what I've done to that. But no doubt Harlequin will come to the rescue. For anyone who hasn't seen me before, Harlequin is my long-suffering husband. He is such a pet. He really is a lovely fellow. And his, I think his, what would you say, if you asked him what his maxim was in life, what his life duty was, it would probably be to smooth my path for me. Because he knows if he smooths my path for me, his path is a lot smoother. On that note, I will say goodbye for now. Happy stitching. Until next time, from Mary Rose. Bye for now.